A new tropical depression formed over the central Atlantic. A new tropical depression formed early this morning and has been labeled Tropical Depression number 27. It formed over the central Atlantic and is the most recent system to develop in this very active hurricane season. The tropical depression has maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour or 55 kilometers per hour. According to the U.S. National Hurricane Center, Tropical Depression number 27 will develop gradually and strengthen slowly, and the depression may also become a tropical storm later in the day, or it may progress to tropical storm status overnight and could become a near hurricane by Thursday. Tropical Depression 27 is centered around 720 miles or 1,155 kilometers southeast of Bermuda. If the tropical depression becomes a tropical storm, it will be named Epsilon. For the 2020 hurricane season, we have seen many storms. The Hurricane Center is currently using Greek letters from the alphabet to create storm names after the previous list was exhausted. According to meteorologists, Tropical Depression 27, which recently formed in the central Atlantic, may intensify into a hurricane by Thursday. This tropical depression has been labeled Tropical Depression 27 and it formed in the Atlantic. The forecast for this tropical depression is that it will become Hurricane Epsilon. Another area of disturbance in the Western Caribbean is also being closely monitored. Tropical Depression 27 has formed in the Central Atlantic and is expected to increase in status to a hurricane, which will be called Hurricane Epsilon, before getting close to Bermuda later into this week. There is also an additional area that many forecasters are observing for tropical development in the Western Caribbean Sea. If this area becomes a tropical storm, it will be called Tropical Storm Zeta. Tropical Depression 27 is currently centered approximately 700 miles to the southeast or 720 miles to the southeast of Bermuda, and it is not moving at this time. It is currently stagnant in its position. The tropical depression is forecast to intensify into Tropical Storm Epsilon as soon as later into Monday. It may become the Atlantic's 10th hurricane of the season by the middle of the week. It will encounter blocking high pressure aloft to its north, and this system will not be able to simply take off immediately into the open North Atlantic, but instead will be steered northwestward. The track for this tropical depression is that it may move closer to Bermuda as a hurricane by late in the week ahead. However, it should be noted that it is too early to provide specific forecast details for Bermuda, but bands of heavy rain and strong winds are also possible within this vicinity. This system, however, is not a threat to the U.S. East Coast. However, it should be noted as the pressure difference between strong high pressure over the North Atlantic Ocean and the future Epsilon should eventually generate swells that will push toward parts of the East Coast, which will lead to high surf and recurrence as the week progresses. This rough surf should also extend to the Bahamas and to the north-facing coast of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the Leeward Islands. It should also be noted that parts of the U.S. East Coast are already seeing coastal flooding and recurrence early in this week. That is being caused by a combination of high tides and onshore winds from an area of high pressure. For the region in the Western Caribbean Sea, the other tropical area of development that is being watched is currently located in this vicinity. It is a broad area of low pressure and is expected to develop further in this week to the east of Central America and to the south of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. While some ocean heat content has caused Tropical Storm Gamma and Hurricane Delta, it should be mentioned that the Caribbean Sea still has plenty of warmth to support tropical development, so this area of disturbance may develop into Tropical Storm Zeta. If the broader low-pressure system can tighten up into a more defined circulation with collocated thunderstorm activity, then a tropical depression may form sometime within this week. In the future, however, the strength or final track of this potential system remains highly uncertain. Therefore, there is no forecast details at this time. It should be noted that this area of low pressure may enhance rainfall across the Western Caribbean region. Therefore, persons in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and Cuba, and persons located close to the central areas of America should expect a lot of rainfall. This 2020 Atlantic hurricane season remains extremely active. We've already gone through 25 storm names, and we are now using letters from the Greek alphabet to name storms. So far, we've used Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and we're looking forward to using Epsilon if this system continues to grow, and then we will have to use Zeta. That would mean that we would have already used approximately 6 letters from the Greek alphabet, and we would have exhausted the previous 25 names. This is heading to a record-breaking year for hurricanes and other storms within the Atlantic hurricane season. 2020 Atlantic hurricane season is only rivaled by the hurricane season which occurred in 2005, where of course they got up to using Zeta. Now we are about to surpass Zeta. Hurricanes are extremely dangerous natural occurring phenomenons, and of course every year approximately 11,000 persons lose their lives as a result of hurricanes and tropical storms. Hurricanes bring intense winds, waves, and may even bring tornadoes, along with floodwaters to land areas. If a hurricane is approaching an area where you live in, please check for the necessary hurricane or tropical storm warnings. Ensure that you evacuate to a safe location if that is recommended by your emergency agency. Of course, ensure that you have all the necessary hurricane preparedness plans in place. It should be noted that whilst a hurricane is over the ocean and far from land, they still pose a lot of hazardous potential threats to persons who are on land. It poses the greatest threat to persons who are at sea, however. Before the use of modern weather forecasting, hurricanes were the cause of many shipwrecks, which included several in the Bermuda Triangle, which is an area that is known for ships that constantly disappear. In the modern era, with forecasting and warning systems in place, boats can now steer clear of hurricanes. However, unlike boats, oil and glass platforms over the water are unable to move out of harm's way and can be severely damaged by fierce winds and waves coming from hurricanes or tropical storms. If you live on a coastal area and there is a warning that a hurricane is incoming, then you should be considering that you will be in the receipt of heavy rains, high winds, storm surges, and even tornadoes. It should be noted that storm surges push seawater on shore during a hurricane, and it causes flooding near towns that are close to the coast. Heavy rains may also cause flooding inland as well. It should be noted that high winds and storm surges, along with flooding and tornadoes, may damage houses and cars that are in the path of a hurricane. There is no way to stop a hurricane from hitting a coastal area, but persons in these communities normally tend to move away to ensure that they evacuate to a safe place whilst the hurricane is ongoing. Of course, remember to practice all the necessary safety rules that have been advocated by your emergency agency. Be prepared and remain safe. Ensure that you have food, candles, and also batteries. And please ensure that you secure your documents away in the necessary plastic containers and have an evacuation route planned for your family. And also, place your assets in a safe place so that they are not washed away.